Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Wow.
So we just read the beginning of the story of creation, and the end of this reading reads as follows. Thus the heavens and the earth and the entire creation were finished, and on the seventh day God finished the work that God had done. God ceased on the seventh day from the work that God had done, and God blessed the seventh day and designated it as sacred, for on it God ceased from all the work of creation in which God had done. It's in only these 3 verses that the idea of Shabbat is created. This paragraph serves as an introduction to the Kiddush, which we do on Friday nights, the prayer that we, over the wine that we sanctify Shabbat. And it also appears in the Friday evening Amidah as one of the blessings in the Kiddushat Hayom, the holiness of the day section. In the Women's Torah commentary, they note, only the 7th day, not yet designated as Shabbat, is holy. Time, not space, is thus consecrated, which, as Abraham Joshua Heschel notes, becomes a hallmark of Judaism. But the truth is, when we think about what we do on Shabbat, we often think about laws and rules and mitzvot, which are elaborated on much later in the Torah. For example, you'll notice that the word is ceased and not rest, which will come to be associated with Shabbat once the Israelites have already attained their freedom from Egypt. What we can tell from the Torah is that Shabbat is a big deal. It is mentioned as a mitzvah no less than 15 times. I have the citation if you want to double check. So let me just ask, what does Shabbat look like in your family? A normal Shabbat, not the one that you share publicly, but like a normal, regular Friday night and Saturday. What does it look like for your family? Kevin, what does it look like in the Berkowitz household? Soccer, right.
Friday night dinner, but then soccer as a family on Saturday.
Cool, so Friday night, do something together, Saturday, soccer, that makes sense. Cool, yeah. Larry.
Yeah, we come here most Friday nights.
Thank God, thank you. We come here every Friday too. Very good, yeah.
In New York, on Broadway, we have challah, and we make a kiddush of the wine. We have challah, and we light candles.
Beautiful. So we do the Shabbat trifecta, the candles, the kiddush, and the wine. Very good, very good. Any outside the box things that you do on Shabbat? Yeah.
I don't know if it's outside the box, but with the kids out of the house, it's always, every Friday, it's kind of like there's like a check-in.
Beautiful. That's beautiful to have like a personal check-in every Shabbat. Yeah. Amazing. Turn off your computer at 5 o'clock on Friday. Very good. Very good. I like that. That's lovely. So, what about other holidays? Think about Rosh Hashanah. What kinds of things did you do as a family for Rosh Hashanah? Food. How long did it take to prepare a Rosh Hashanah meal versus a regular Friday meal? Less time, because you're going to Mila's. Or Passover, for example. How long before the Seder do you start preparing for Passover? My mom says about 3 months ahead of time. She may already have desserts in the freezer. Yeah. 2 hours. That's impressive. Only 2 hours ahead of time. What's that? It feels like 2 hours. Cool. You want to make the Seder like the matzah. We got to rush to get it done. I like it. So, when certain holidays are established in the Torah, they are called a Shabbat Shabbaton, a Shabbat-like day. For example, in the Torah reading for Sukkot, when we read how we're meant to observe Sukkot, we read that on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you gather the yield of the land, you are to celebrate Adonai's festival 7 days. The first day is a Shabbaton, a Shabbat-like observance. And the 8th day is another Shabbat-like observance. So let me ask you this. Why is it so hard to make Shabbat a Shabbat-like observance? It happens so often. Yes. We get used to it. Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Because of all the pressure and stress of our current lifestyles, to withdraw is the most helpful and rebalancing undertaking that we can do for our spiritual and our physical health.
Absolutely.
I welcome it. I don't, last week, unfortunately, it started raining, so I wasn't feeling great. It's the first time I've not come to shul in years. And it was like, whoa, there's something wrong. It imbalanced my whole
Yes.
days.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're getting to my punchline a little early, which is wonderful. So why is it so we spend, let's even take the 2 hours example. We spend 2 hours getting ready for Seder. Why is it so hard for us to take 2 hours even every week and make Shabbat a Shabbat-like observance? Now I will offer, yeah, please. Modern day work schedule, sure.
Try to block yourself out and do it. So,
Yeah, it's
to be honest, sometimes Saturdays are hard. To be honest, I tend to do my rest more on Sunday, unfortunately, because of work scheduling.
good. So sometimes we need to kind of like time shift Shabbat a little bit and have our rest day on Sunday. There's a Facebook group on there's a Facebook group on Facebook, and it's the Central Conference of American Rabbis. It's our rabbinic. It's a closed group so that we can celebrate each other's mitzvot and help each other process different things. And one of the things that's a common thread is people refer to Monday as Rabbi Shabbat, because that's our day off in most synagogues. So we do sometimes have to time shift, absolutely. And I will readily admit that I am a first offender of this, that getting ready for Shabbat is just challenging for our family and figuring out what we're going to do on a Saturday as a family to have some rest, to have some together time. What I'd like to suggest is that might be helpful is that the important part about Shabbat is the ritual. It's the being together. Even if we can't devote the number of hours that we would spend on getting ready for Shavuot. I'm just kidding. Nobody prepares for Shavuot. We just get a cheesecake. But the number of hours that we celebrate, that we prepare for Passover and Rosh Hashanah and these big moments in our family's life, we can still ritualize them, even if it's really small. And I will admit, the ritual that we have in our family is something I totally stole from that CCAR Facebook group. One of the rabbis was telling the story that a single mother came into the rabbi study and said, "Look, you gave a great sermon about spending Shabbat as a family and making the time for it, but I got to be honest. I'm a single mom. I'm working all the way through the end of the day. I don't have time to put, a whole mitzvah together for my family." And so the rabbi said, "Can you order pizza?" She said, "Yeah, I can do that." She said, "Start there. Order a pizza. Let that be your Shabbat ritual. Once that comes a thing, add one more thing. And add one more thing." Sure enough, 6 to 9 months later, I don't remember, but for the sake of the story, about 6 to 9 months later, it went far beyond pizza. And their Shabbat observance was a Shabbat-like observance. In our family, we celebrate our Shabbat dinner in my study with Rubio's. And sometimes another Mexican place, because that's what we're able to do. Celebrating Shabbat doesn't have to be a 5-month-long preparation for each day. That would cost incredible resources that none of us have. But we can devote a little bit of time to elevate it, to add some holiness, and make it a Shabbat-like observance, to make it a real Shabbat observance. I'd like to offer some thoughts from an article that was in the New York Times earlier this year. Fallow time, which the author calls it, think of it like Shabbat time, where we cease and we rest and we stop. Fallow time is necessary to grow everything from actual crops to figurative ones. Like books and children, to do the work, we need to rest, to read, to reconnect. It's the invisible labor that makes creative life possible. In taking this pause in production in favor of absorption, I admit that I'm finding my inane impatience. This is me working hard against my ant-like tendencies ingrained in me by my immigrant parents, modern-day hustle culture, and our pervasive status quo American busyness. This is me pushing aside the overwhelming in order to think real thoughts. A friend had excellent advice. Be open to the invitation to replenish yourself. Say yes to the gift of no requirement. It looks like I'm doing nothing, but it's the hidden something that I'm after. One of my teachers, Rabbi Dr. Rachel Adler, taught that Judaism is inherently countercultural. Shabbat as an institution is countercultural. So my question to you, as you look ahead, what could you do on Shabbat to make Shabbat a more Shabbat-like observance?
A suggestion for everyone. You have no idea how beautiful the immediate environment is. I live in this Renaissance development. We have a landscape, water-blessed stream. It's a great place just to walk before you come or after services, to be with family, to sit. Come and see the ducks if you haven't seen the ducks.
So beautiful, observing nature around us, appreciating, remembering we are part of nature. Beautiful. I hope that in this year ahead, you're able to make Shabbat a Shabbat-like observance, even if it has to start with ordering a pizza every week. Find your ritual, help it find meaning, so we can take a moment to cease, to rest, and to appreciate the world we live in. Shabbat Shalom. Shana Tova. Shana Tova. May your next Shabbat be a Shabbat Shalom.